How's it going, guys? Welcome back. It's finally here. I remember the last time I played Yorick in a fucking good position. It was 2018 and Season 7. We're finally getting buffs. Now, we're getting buffs in a lot of different areas. There's a lot planned, so stay with me. I'm going to go through all of it. I'm going to go through what's been announced for this coming patch, and I'm also going to go through what's been announced for a future patch. We'll start with the current patch. So before we get started, I want to give a shout out to all the writers that were involved with this one. I know Captain Gameplay is the person that's actually doing the Yorick buffs, so mad props to him. Riot August has actually done a lot of work with Captain Gameplay for this buff, and Flox has been an absolute legend in being a middleman between us, so really appreciate all three of you. It's been amazing. So looking at what's planned, so if you look at this, there's two columns. Column on the left, well, that side, is the patch that's going to hit. So that one there's due to hit next Wednesday for me. And on that patch, we're looking at getting Mistwalkers will deal double the damage when they jump to a target that you've E'd. Okay, so this is useful in the top lane. Let's say, for example, you've summoned 4 Mistwalkers, you land your E, and you're going for the engage. Now, that jump that they normally do, after they land, they attack. So what this change does is it doubles the damage they're going to deal. So if you think about it, Yorick's Mistwalkers actually have a 30% AD ratio each. Yeah, so there's 4 of them, which means there's a 120% AD ratio on Yorick's current E. So with this buff, it actually goes up to a 240% AD ratio. So if you have, let's say, 300 AD, your E is going to do around about, oh my god, my math is terrible. Why did I do this? Did I even say 300? It's a lot of fucking damage, right? It's a lot of damage. Like 700, it's nuts, right? Is it going to be broken? I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to give good reward to the E. So I'm liking this buff a lot. It's also targeted to landing the skill shot. And if you're anything like me, I can't hit any of my E's. So this is a buff for everyone else. It's not a buff for me, clearly. The second change that's coming is when you hit a target with your E ability, Mistwalkers will be raised from nearby graves. So I'll go into a bit more detail with this one because it's a bit confusing the way it works. So first of all, you have to hit your E for it to work. Okay, it doesn't work if you just chuck your E out on the spot. Basically, what it requires is you need to hit a target with your E. Then that target then becomes the epicenter. It becomes the start, the middle of the big circle. So if you can imagine Yorick's Q, whenever you use your Q and you have graves around you, a big circle appears. And when you recast your Q, anything within that radius gets raised up, right? That's the exact same way this works, except you don't have to recast Q. So if I hit the enemy Jace in the top lane, and he runs around near a grave, that grave will automatically rise up as long as that mark prolongs on the Jace, okay? I hope that makes sense. It checks every 0.25 seconds. So it's not at the time of cast. If you E someone, you chuck 4 Mistwalkers at them, and then one of the Mistwalkers dies, and then you Q a creep, and it leaves another grave. As long as that E is still active, that grave will raise a Mistwalker and it'll jump as well. So this works really nicely with buff number 1. So if you can find a way to chuck multiple ghouls out at one after another, you actually do so much extra damage. Now, unfortunately, it's bugged on PBE right now. I've got confirmation that it's being fixed for the next PBE cycle. Basically, the way it works right now is that if you cast your E and you land it on a champion, it will automatically raise as many ghouls as possible, regardless of how many ghouls you have out already. So you know how, like, if you have 4 ghouls out already and you recast your Q and it replaces the 4, it does that automatically. Now, the intention of it is not to do that. The intention is instead to raise as many ghouls as you can to hit that 4 minion cap. So if you got 2 out and you cast your E and it lands, it's only going to raise 2 ghouls, even if there's 4 graves nearby. But if one of those ghouls then dies and the E is still active, it'll raise another one. So you can use it to refresh your ghoul cap, which is so bloody nice. Now, the last buff that's going through for next patch is that your Morning Mist will cast at max range rather than path you to where you clicked, okay? So this one is a bit of explaining, right? Best way I can explain it is that if you are if you're not in range of the area and you left click where you want to cast your E, it will path you towards that location and then you'll chuck it. So let's say, for example, if I'm taking blue buff with 4 ghouls, and then I want to cast E on Gromp. Now, if I try to do over the wall, but Yorick's not in range of the cast, he'll try to run around the wall, right? Instead of just casting it on the spot. So what this will do is he'll just cast on the spot, and if you miss, you miss. It's your fault. So, but it'll let you cast it at max range, which means faster casting. So you should technically have an easier job landing your E's in the next patch. But forewarning, it's going to be very weird to get used to. I'm already not looking forward to getting used to it. But it should be fine. I'm really looking forward to these 3 buffs. Now, the second column is the fixes for a future patch. Now, there's no time estimate on any of these, okay? So please stay with me here. I know these ones were actually listed in the bug in the buffs. They're not for next patch, okay? The reason they're not for next patch is because they require an entire redoing of the coding, okay? The way that the Yorick schools are coded, the way the towers are coded for them, it requires a complete refreshment. What it effectively is, and a lot of people have been misconstruing them, so I'll try to keep you a bit more aware of how it works, this one. So the first one is Mistwalkers will only draw turret aggro if you tell them to attack the target. So let's say you're under tower and you land your E on the champion, you will still draw tower aggro from the E, and you will still draw tower aggro from the Mistwalkers attacking, okay? People seem to think that I can cast E and the Mistwalkers are attacking and I'm not going to take tower aggro, right? That's not how it's going to work. What this buff is trying to do is it's trying to make it so if I push under tower and I'm attacking the tower and my Mistwalker happens to attack the champion that's guarding the tower, I'm not going to get aggro. Instead, that Mistwalker is going to get aggro. It's a way to give Yorick the ability to push under tower without taking tower aggro. This is actually probably the best possible buff you could ever have for Yorick top. This changes everything. Right now, if there's a rock of a Malphite in your face, you can't take that tower unless he dies, right? Whereas now, if this goes through, I'll be able to run into that tower and hit that tower, and it doesn't give a fuck what the Malphite does, because I'm not going to get tower aggro. Now, the second point is Mistwalkers and the Maiden of the Mist will have a lower turret priority. So what this essentially means is that if you don't know the hierarchy that it goes down now, it effectively goes Rift Herald is number 1. The tower will always prioritize the Rift Herald. Then you've got Yorick's W. It will then, if there's no Rift Herald, it'll go to Yorick's W. After Yorick's W, it goes the Mistwalkers. After the Mistwalkers, it then goes for your Maiden of the Mist. Then it goes for the melee minion. Sorry, I butchered that completely. It goes Rift Herald, Yorick's W, Cannon Minion, Mistwalkers, Maiden of the Mist, melee minions, range minions, leftover champion. Okay, that's better. That's the way it is. Ignore what I said before. So what this is effectively going to do is it's going to take it out of that section of being above minions, and it's going to put it below it instead. So instead of it being Siege Minion, Mistwalkers, Maiden, Minions, it'll instead be Siege Minion, Minions, Mistwalkers, Maiden. Okay? It's really hard to say that without having it written down. So yeah, what this will let you do is right now, let's say you get a kill in lane, right? You can't take that tower plating because if you have Mistwalkers or you have the Maiden, you want to preserve them. You don't want them to die. Unless there's a siege minion, you can't actually go into the tower range because they're going to take damage straight away. This lets us get plates. Plates let us get gold. Gold lets us get items. This is so good. The buffs that are coming this patch are good. But the real buffs are the ones in the future patch. The second those ones come, we will be praising God because I swear to God it's going to be amazing. Now, a lot of people have asked, is it going to be ridiculously broken? Him in the new patch? Look, I think his play rate will go up enormously. This is probably going to be the highest play rate he's ever going to get. Apart from if the new future patch one comes. It's going to be huge. It's going to be freaking huge. I think his win rate will skyrocket big time, but I'm hoping people get accustomed to what Yorick is and they start to perform a little bit better against him as a result. I think top Yorick will be in a solid spot. I think top Yorick will be really, really good. I actually think mid Yorick will be just as good, probably maybe a little better than top Yorick, just because of how much raw damage you get off these items, like off these changes. That first one, off Serrated Dirk, you're going to be one-shotting people at level, like literally level 6 and 7 in the mid lane. And that's where all the squishies are. I definitely think the mid lane will be a solid pick, especially with the new Trinity buffs. Oh my god, if you don't know already, Trinity Force now stacks against turret. It literally is our patch. This is the biggest patch we're ever going to get for Yorick, I can promise you. Now, a lot of you might be Yorick jungle players. I've got some bad news for you boys. These buffs don't really do that much for me. If anything, it's actually kind of a nuisance. Because of the way the E works now, Mistwalkers, a Grave will always drop from the first buff that you take, but the second you cast your E, it's going to raise that ghoul. That ghoul is going to jump onto the hitbox of the next camp, and it's going to take aggro and it's going to die. And in the jungle, having 4 Mistwalkers alive for as long as possible boosts your clear time. So you think with all these changes, our clear time actually gets increased. Unless you can somehow find a way to keep all 4 ghouls alive at all times, your clear speed will go down. So that's kind of annoying, but I'm working with it. I'm trying my best to find stuff out. So you just got to hold with me for a little bit. Overall, solid patch. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to try get a little mini guide out for next patch, but I hope everything's a bit more, everyone's able to understand a little bit more. I forgot to go over it before, but the goal of this entire patch, for Yorick at least, is to give you a way to trade when you don't have 3 Graves out. Right now, you can't trade with anyone. If someone jumps you at level 2 and you have 2 Graves, you literally have to run because you can't do anything. You can try bonk them back with a Q and land your E. It's not going to really do much. But this way, I can cast my E. If I land it, they're taking damage. And that's the main part of this patch. I think it's going to be a really good patch all around anyway. I'm going to try experiment a little bit on PBE, see if we can have some fun on it. Might try chuck a stream in like sometime this weekend. If you're wondering where I've been, I got a full-time job. I now work for one of the courts in Western Australia, handling some pretty horrible cases. But it's a lot of fun. Doesn't give me much time off, but when these Yorick buffs come in, I'm going to be back. I'm going to try my best. I haven't been doing well this season, boys. Not going to lie. I've got a negative win rate. Sucks. But I'm hoping this will do a lot for you guys. It'll be really good for top Yorick, really good for mid Yorick. If you're jungle Yorick, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for myself because Monster Hunter sucks and it's killing me. But aside from that, I think this is our patch. Go wild, and I will see you guys in either the next rundown video or on my Discord. I'll put a link in the description, or on the subreddit. I like to post memes. So I'll catch you guys in the next video, alright? Thanks for coming by.